gentlemen. All right, we have made it. That's all a good thing. We'll see who open up the room here. Oh, all right. They are already here and on time. They slid in the base on us, so it look like the chat is going. So it must be a good thing. So we give a quick shout out to all of those that are participating in the chat, and I know that millions are looking live. Uh-oh, I forgot. This is say tell the truth to one another. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, all right. So we are. Well, I think that's one of the things that we said. We are talking about. We are working our journey through the power of the community, of course, right? And in that power, we are going through different topics here or situations in our heart, and really trying to walk through it. So today, of course, will be the third portion or the third session, or even we would even say part three. And we're going to deal with a little bit about tell the truth to one another and what's, kind of what that entails. When I was thinking about this, I kind of was going back and forth, and I don't know if I settled yet in my mind what I want to do, but I think I do now. So we may hop a little bit, but we'll get across. We'll get it across the importance of, right. That's what we want to deal with on tonight is the importance of telling the truth to each other. Now, one of the things that when we talking about the community and the power of the community, one of the things is I want us to think of our homes is that unit that you have that's where everything starts at. Everything starts at your home. Whether you have children, don't have children, even a single person, that is their domain. So that's their home. Those units of homes, then they come together. When we come together as a full community, right? And we submitting ourselves to one another, then we bring all of those things with us that the units or the families, the mishpachah there, has already set what they have been doing during the week, and everything that flows in a particular household. Then when we come together as a whole tribe there, so I'm gonna switch it to clans as being the households, right? When you have each and every clan, and then we come together as a whole, right? As a tribe. And then we have a heart for one another. And then we live through Torah our lives. So as a clan, if we don't live in our homes, then it's going to be difficult when we come together as that particular tribe. And I'm using this as an example, of course, right? And so those units is very, very important. And so, in order to make these things go, one of the main things is we have to tell the truth to one another. Now, it is very, very important that we do this, and not only that, but even when you go to the jobs, when you're dealing with your neighbors, and all of the things that around us, is very, very important, right? And then we'll talk a little bit about the falsehood in that, right? So one of the things I wanted to kind of bring out too is the fact that maybe if we start like what that looks like, and this is one of the points of power up is we always are trying to look what it looks like. And so even at the community, we trying to say live it out. That's where we are going with that. We know it's on the page, but we want to say what that looks like. And sometimes we're trying to grow into what that looks like. We may not always have, the 100, but are we trying to get there? So we at least have to make an effort for it, right? What it looks like in that. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to maybe we could look at some of the things that really what our scripture is talking about is that falsehood, right? And then from our day to day, maybe we could throw in some day to day before we really, get into other things. But if we can build on this maybe just a little bit, I tried to open it up a little bit of where I'm going with this. I think Jedediah, I called you earlier today, and I think I talked to you. You know, I talked to you about 5 minutes, and we discussed a couple of things. Then we hung up. Is that true, my brother?
A little less than 5 minutes.
Okay, okay, all right. Now that's where the point that I was going with, right? Now, when we're talking about tell the truth to each other, it would have been impossible, right? You said a little less. So is that 4 minutes and 50 seconds, or is that 4 minutes, or was it 3 minutes? Do you know?
I'm not sure how long it
Okay,
was.
okay, all right. So we talked for a short time. Can we agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will not be lying to one another, even if I dropped it at 5 minutes. Did you take that as he's lying to me?
No, sir.
Okay, absolutely. So this is what I'm saying is, and when we're dealing with people, that's not, that's not the lying to one. I tell when we say tell the truth, a lying, the opposite of that, the truth teller the truth is lying to one another. So we have to say things in order for us to communicate with one another. Nobody says, well, it was 5 minutes exactly, a little less than 5 minutes, but for sure, unless we look at our phones, I mean, our phones will have a time on it, right? We look at our phone, we can see what that conversation is today, but nobody stops and thinks, oh, he lied to me. He's telling a falsehood. He's not telling the truth. So if I told Sid that I talked to you at about around 5 minutes or so, and then Sid told you. So it's not that we are not lying to one another. It's just that it was at a short time, right? So when we say these things, those are the things that are crucial because many times we seem to focus on little video things when the main things of telling one another the truth should be really, really out there, right? Really out there. And we can have a mindset of how we speak to one another, though, in that to try to be as accurate as possible, right? But when we talking about telling the truth with one another, we talking about really, you'll see we just getting in there really, really deceiving, right? We don't want to be deceptive, right? We don't definitely don't want to be a false witness, right? But we don't want to be deceiving, and that's where I'm going with when I think about one another, right? So in day-to-day conversation, I could say that, I could say, I could tell you, I could put about a half a tank of gas in my car, right? And then the exact half a tank, it might have been over, it might have been more, right? But when I say that, I'm not out to deceive you. I'm giving you an estimation. So some of those things are in conversation's sake. And now, you may say, I think I put about a half, and I think you mentioned earlier, maybe a little less than 5 minutes, or it could have been a little more than 10 minutes because my perception is relative to what's around me. You know, I looked at it as being 5 minutes. Somebody else might look at it being 30 seconds. Somebody else might look at it being 2 minutes. So off the bat, I just wanted to get that understanding that, sometimes we don't have the exact when we're telling the stories, probably to someone else too, exact, what it is. So we'll kind of deal with the light and heavy, right? The heavy is more when it gets into more of a detail of what the context of what we are talking about when we're talking about dealing with one another, right? So sometimes we say, my little Shelly just turned 5, so I may tell somebody else that the father had blessed her to have another number of years, right? And then I tell somebody else where they say, well, how old is she? And I say, oh, I think she's 6, right? I wasn't going out to deceive that person, right? But the deception would have been, I know she's 5. I don't want her to know how old she is. She's 6. That's deceiving. And this is what we're talking about, loving one another. I mean, talking about tell the truth to one another, right? This is what we're talking about in that. And so it has to be something that you intentionally out to do. Now, we'll find out maybe later on in these conversations that we need to be more, our communication made me to be like she's around. I think she's around 5 or 6. I think I need to let the person know that I am not sure about the information that I want to give you. And I want that to sink in. We need to communicate to one another that I am not sure about about what I'm about to tell you, in that. And that's very important because now I know that's in a light situation. The heavy situation is I know this. This is what it is. And so a lot of times we can deal with that. But when it comes to situations, we want to understand that we will have that and we need to practice. This is where the walk come in at. We need to practice those things. Now, it is very, very important to the things of the Most High that those things are in there. But it's very important that we do those things that we need to do in that. Okay, so that's always a good thing when we talk about that. Let me put this on here. I wanted to pull up this scripture here if I can, real quick. All right, let's go here. I just want to drop one scripture, then I'm gonna ask you gentlemen some questions. Leviticus chapter 19, and then verse 11, right? Do not steal, and this is all in the same thing here, right? Because of Yah, He is our Father, He is our King, and so we know this is how we operate. Number one, we don't steal. Covenant people do not do this. We don't practice these things. Do not lie. Now, and that's another thing. We don't want to do that. There's something that we do not do. We do not practice those things and do not deceive one another. And that's what we are talking about, telling the truth, right, to one another. I'm talking about telling the truth talking to one another, in communication of making sure that they have the information that they need and you're not trying to deceive. To have the information that a person needs, but we are not out to deceive in that. So we want to make sure that those things follow through in that. And of course, I have several scriptures, and if you have some scriptures yourself in that. So I had a couple of questions here that I put down as well that you can, if we will switch back to the fact that we're going to, maybe you could tell us some personal experience that you might have where telling the truth, right? Telling the truth and not lying had an impact on your life or even somebody else's life. So if you have something maybe in mind of that, of telling the truth, when we're talking about telling the truth to one another, how did that benefit you when somebody either talked to you and tell the truth or you talk to someone else and tell the truth? And then, what's this all about in that? So we'll let Jedediah come up and jump in there real quick on that one.
Shalom, Elder.
Well, shalom, my brother.
And all praise to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
That was the scripture you just used is where I was going to launch from.
Okay, but launch on.
And that's amazing. That's the spirit right there. But
Yeah, hallelujah.
also, we know that Mashiach, our Messiah said in Matthew 22, when he was talking to a gentleman asked him, he said, "Teacher, what is the great command in the Torah?" And then he went on to explain in verse 37, and Yeshua said to him, "You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your mind, which is, we know he's quoting Torah. He's getting that from Deuteronomy 6.
Yes,
And then
yes.
he said, this is the first and great command, verse 39. The second one is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And so, where we would find in Leviticus 19, where you were quoting verse 11. And we know that in order for us to truly love each other, honesty has to be the foundation of a relationship. And I had to learn that the hard way. I remember when I was younger, meeting someone and talking to someone, and I start off immediately by lying because I'm trying to make people like me, and obviously that was wrong. And when you build a relationship off off lies, that relationship ain't gonna go too far. So I know that me being with my wife, it'd be certain things. Now I'll be like, oh no, I'm just gonna tell the truth with this one, because this is when gonna help me out in the long run. Because if I lie about this is not going to be helpful in our relationship. Even being on the workplace, making sure that I'm telling the truth, because all it takes is for me to tell one lie, and then my trust is out the window. Now, let's say if something else come up, whereas then I didn't do anything, and I'm trying to tell them, no, I didn't do that, but you lied to me before. So now it's hard for someone to trust me again. So being honest all the time is very important, and especially within the Mishpachah. Um, I remember when I was in school, and we were talking about this. It was in a biblical class. I think it was First Testament class, and we were getting into the conversation about lying. Trying to figure out what is lying, what's acceptable. And there was this girl who said, if my friend baked a pie and it was for the pie eating contest and it wasn't good, she was like, I would tell her that it's good. And I'm like, that's not right. Like, you should tell her the truth, because if you really loved your friend, you would want her to be successful. But now you setting her up for failure, and you sending her to this pie eating contest where she's gonna fail, because true love will always revolve around honesty. If I cannot tell you the truth, then we're really not in a good relationship. And sometimes I know for me, I found it hard to tell people the truth because I felt like I didn't want to hurt their feelings. But that's not going to be good for our relationship. And also, when you're dealing with certain people, they don't want to hear the truth. So if that person don't want to hear the truth, you just like, I'm just gonna lie to them because they ain't gonna hear what I gotta say anyway. But that's not a good, healthy relationship.
All right, all right. That's good, my brother. One of the things before, excuse me, before we move it on, I think you brought up something that really that we are going to define. I was saying earlier, like you're saying, is when we dealing with one another, like how can we do this, and this is where some of the stuff that we want to get to where we could practice right now. Let's take if you allow me to do this, let's take the situation that you just said about the pie. Right now, you could taste her pie and you could tell her that pie is, like I guess I'm trying to use an example off of your example, not so much of what you were saying. But if it, say let me see this, I want to, since the pie is fresh on my mind, if I somebody was getting ready to go to a contest and they told me to test this pie out, right? And then I tell them that pie wasn't no good. It did not taste good to me. And I tell them that it is good. And when I think that is not good, then that could get into a deceiving situation, right? Now, what I need, this is the relationship. What I need to tell the person is when I tasted your pie, I'm not saying that your pie is not good. Your pie was not good to me because you could give that pie, say, to my wife, and she would love it. That's just how food is. And I think in the assembly, when we bring food and share it with one another and all of that, one likes that, the other one said that's not good, you know. And so the conversation should be when I tasted your pie, I did not like the, you know, that taste, it didn't do nothing for me. Now, if you submit that to the pie eating contest, then if somebody had the maybe the same taste buds or whatever that I have, it may not be successful. Because some people have even, you know, there was times that you know, people would cook and they would say, you need to open a restaurant or you should open a restaurant. And so they started a mom and pops and it failed because the people around them that food was good, but it went to a broader audience that food wasn't no good. But they had, I guess, inspired them to go ahead and do it. You know, now sometimes it's good to do that because you know if somebody's saying you know something is good. I mean that's how things start. Don't get me wrong. That's you know sometimes if you have a good dish and then you put it out there, and some restaurants have started that because they had recipes that was real good. You know, and to the liking of the taste. And so when we are dealing in communication with one another, then that's what we want to do. You have described somebody that intentionally deceived a person because of their own taste buds told them that it wasn't good, but yet they told the person that it was good. And when I should tell you, and what happens to us as brothers, as sisters, or just anybody, like you said, even at work, is you know, it's tied to sometimes how I think that person gonna feel, and this is our favorite word, is I don't want to hurt their feelings, you know, in that. But we'll realize that I need to tell you that according to my taste, that pie is not good. That does not mean that you know it's not just because I said it, but I should not tell you that it is good when I really feel in my heart it's not. You know, so sometimes even when you know our wives cooks for us, and then you know they say how it was, you know, and I said, you know, many times I would say, oh, it was good. Then I tasted something different in that because she had made that dish for me before, and then I said, did you put something different in there? Did she say yes? Because that was something that I taste. It was the same, but it was I had a liking to the first dish, right? And the second dish didn't. I'm not saying that it's bad, but I discovered that it had a different taste in there, you know, in that. Now there was times that the second dish or something that she tried and it wasn't favorable to my taste buds in that. Then we communicated that with one another. But if I would have just said, "Oh, it's you know, oh that's good," you know, whatever the dish might be, if I just say that that was good each and every time she began to change it, then she each time she's changed it, added ingredients, she thought that was okay. But when it really wasn't okay, but I didn't want to tell her any different because the efforts and all of those things she puts in, and most times that's just for the love of them. That's with anybody, for our wives and even the people around us and our neighbors. You know, so that's you know again. Thank you for that, brother, because I wanted that really triggered to help me put out there what I needed to, and I couldn't really think of that earlier. But when we are dealing with that, when we are out to deceive somebody, like we were saying in Leviticus 19 as well. All right, brother, you can step up to the plate now. Let me see if I can get you up here. All right. Yehoshua, are you there?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Okay,
Sorry,
all
I had to
right,
hit
all
the
right.
button.
Okay, all right.
Praise God. Hallelujah. So I remember you had a question. It was about when did telling the truth benefit
Yeah.
us?
When telling the truth, benefits you or someone around you, someone else, how does that benefit us? our experience of somebody telling you the truth?
So I guess for me, just being, I guess, is it fair to run that with trustworthy?
Yeah, 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 sure. Absolutely.
So for me, I believe just telling the truth has benefited me a lot and the people in my life um, that I surround myself with because I can rely on them. And I think that that's really what's been the biggest benefit is I'm not sure if everybody likes to be counted on, but I like to be able to accomplish what people have asked me to do. And there's been times where I've taken on a task I can't accomplish, so that was very deceptive, like what Maury was saying. And, even the word has something to say about that, taking on a task and you begin to build something and you can't complete it. And now the incomplete work brings shame to you. And I've definitely been one to do that to myself through my lies. And it's just not good. But the opposite is so much better to just be honest about what I'm capable of and being relied on to do some tasks that I would consider pretty significant. I've shared it with I've shared it with you before, Moray, how in the recent couple of weeks, my boss has asked me to go make a purchase for him and handed me $1,000 cash. There's not too many people that would do something like that, but because of the reputation we have with each other, and hopefully, that I've been putting forth myself and proving myself to be a trustworthy individual, that he, had chose me to do that. And that's not the first time ever. It had nothing to do with my life, with work. It was a personal matter. And same thing with my coworkers have also asked me to do similar things. And I think that would just be one of the biggest areas. And I think the most of it would really go back to what you said in the beginning about how it starts at home. I love being able to do stuff for my wife. It is the best. Even if it's something simple, like I know sometimes she's always trying to look out for me, but if I'm on my way home from work and, she's like, hey, can you stop by the store or something like that? I, there's no sweat off my back doing that. That's a joy to do and a service onto my family. So I think that in telling the truth about those things, you make yourself known to be trustworthy, and a person who's trustworthy or honest gets the opportunity to continue in serving in that way. So that's really it for me. I just like the fact that if you surround yourself with people like that, it turns out that a lot of people have their guard up. And I think that if you're around a lot of people who are trustworthy and telling the truth, you get a more sincere and a more authentic friendship with people because they know that you will share the vulnerable things with them. And even if it's embarrassing to yourself, they'll still want to be able to have a friendship with you because, like what Jedediah was bringing out, you want to surround yourself with people who would tell you the truth. And there is a way to tell someone the truth about something you don't like and it be rude or hurtful. Some people would say, I'm just telling you the truth. And it's kind of like they're telling you off.
Mhm.
Well, your friends and your family, they don't do that. Their form of honesty with you doesn't bring out the facts in a hurtful way. It will build you up. And I like what you were saying earlier. Pretty much to me, like a lie is just something that misrepresents the facts intentionally. So that right there is bad. And even like what Jedediah was saying, I've been that person in the past because I would put myself in a situation where I'm embarrassed. I want to be accepted. I wanted to not tell the truth and people know it the way I know it. So there's been all sorts of ways that people justify lying, but either way, it's deceptive and definitely something that ruins your reputation. But if we're able to pass on the truth and keep the narrative intact, giving people the information they need, I definitely believe it'll make you a person that others will want to rely on, and that's the type of person I aim to be as well.
Right. Absolutely. Now, I got here when you was talking. Now, give me us that are listening. Give us an example of what you just said, though, of your own. Have you ever told somebody the truth? You know, give us an example. How did it? What does that look like when it comes to the community? When we say telling one another the truth, how is that going to benefit? How would that benefit? You know, get what I'm saying is what you're saying is so. But I'm saying, what's an example? I'm trying to get an example from you guys.
Mm.
So if you if you if you woke up, if you, this is what I'm trying to say, if you woke up late, right, and then you call me and you say, you know, I'm running behind, these children got me running behind, is that the truth or not?
No, in that scenario, it would not be the truth
Right,
to
right,
say
right.
that.
The truth would be what? When you talk to me, what it should
I
be.
woke up late.
Okay,
I
that's
woke up
that.
late.
Right, right, and that's gonna be accepted. But because it was my fault, I wanted to look better because the children are making me run behind. Right. So people, we think of people will accept that, you know, more. Right. In our relationship with them. But what we are saying when we're talking about telling the truth with each other, we should be able to say, I woke up late, right? And I am on my way, in that, right? So that's the kind of example I'm saying. That is there something that you can think about to give us? Those are the examples that I want us to kind of echo, the everyday life things, you know. If the children tell us that, you know, said, of course, we get in who broke it. Oh man, we that might be something we can go all day day with, who broke the glass or whatever, right? So in this communication about with one another, you know, what is it that we do to not tell the truth to each other, you know, in that. So that's what I'm trying to, I guess, trying to get to in that. And one of the things that I start. One of the things is, I know you guys had never had ever lied before. So I was trying to think about what was it that made me not tell the truth to my brother, right? What made me do that? Because when that happens, or my sister, or whoever it might be, when it happens, why did I do that? Those are the kind of things that I wanted to. What made me do that when I should been freely in order to tell the truth? Why would I not tell you the truth? You know, in that, what made me do that? And you know, some of the things is, if I could stick with the example of getting up late, is because, you know, maybe I've been late in the past. Maybe they, you know, talk to me. It could be professional. I think Jedediah mentioned at the job. You know, many a times that we're running late at the job, and some people will accept some excuses more than others. You know, in that, we should be able to be free when it comes to the community to tell one another the truth, because we're in covenant with the Most High. So most of all is to, with all in our being, to make sure that we could do that, you know, and to make sure we do that. And you know, I try to go way back, that, you know, with some people, that it was not necessary even not to tell them the truth, because there was no consequences to it. And most times, the deeper the consequences is, the more that I have a temptation of not telling the truth, right? In that. And when I think back, many times there's people that I didn't quite tell the truth to, that you really can't fix it, you know. Even some may even have no longer are here with us, but they're asleep now, right? So all of those things, and those things you can't say anything, do nothing about, right? But you can always do something to go forward in that. So in our everyday association with our family first, then the community, and then those at work and all of that, that we do, then we have to do all of our best because we are relying on relationship and covenant. And so now we're relying on making sure that people tell us the truth, because if they don't, then it affects the relationship. It'll affect that, And so we want to do that because some people struggle with telling the truth because, and I think I echoed even with Jedediah, is even, years ago, I had told so many lies that I believed the lies myself. So when I told somebody, I told them a lie, but I began to believe the lie. So sometimes when the scripture says about that, I understand what that means. But those things can be changed because I'm no longer have that mentality. I am no longer that person, only through the power of the Ruach, of the spirit of that, right? And my heart wanting to do the right thing, as in Leviticus says, don't steal. So if I was stealing, then it's simply don't steal any longer. I need then to work with my own hands. So it is vital in that in relationships, because here's something, the power up moment is the lie that will express is the lie that somebody else is living, right? Somebody else was living. And so according, especially then when it comes to the word of Yah, many times it's done out of ignorance. Now, things that's done out of ignorance, we know that's a light category. But what a heavy category is deception, being deceived, right? And that's something that we don't want to do, is deceive one another. It is not necessary in that. So we want to make sure that we can overcome those struggles. The way that you overcome lies is you start telling the truth. You start practicing the truth. You might have to stop it. There was times that I had to stop in mid sentence, think about what I'm getting ready to say, to make sure that it comes out properly. And not only that it comes out properly, but that it's the truth when it comes out in that. And so that's the word really that we throw around or whatever, the truth, or not to be deception to on nobody, because without of a doubt, I will believe what people tell me, in that. So if I went in the interview for a job and they said I was hired, I believe that, and if they say you're going to make X amount of dollars, I believe that. Not one time did I go and check to see if they had that money in the bank. Not one time did I go and check and see if they was legit. Many people got scammed on the things just like that, So that's the kind of relationship that you build. Most times they say we'll pay you in 2 weeks. Most times we work before we even get a check, so that's what we kind of build on. But once you did not get your check, then now the people are falling in a different category that I'm working for. I done put all of this, now I'm not getting the wage due to me, right? I'm not getting that. And so those are the things that I need to make sure that I do have, in that. So we don't want to be oppressors to one another, because when we don't tell the truth to one another, we oppress one another, and we don't want to do that, And so that's some of the things that I wanted to make sure that we understand these examples, and how to be honest, and it makes us so much better, because dishonesty can hurt people. Dishonesty can break up families. Dishonesty can destroy it destroy countries, right? It can destroy a whole financial situation, and we know all of that. And many times, if we just stick to the word, we don't have to really go out after other individual situations, right? We just know that if you was an honest person, then you wouldn't be cheating, you wouldn't be scamming on different investments. You know, some people trust people with millions and millions of dollars, right? But because they won't tell the truth to each other, and we go back into this the deceiving is what we're talking about in that. So I hope that brought a little bit more out of an example in that. Have you gentlemen, this is on the spot. You don't have to express this if you don't have a desire to, and I understand. But was there something in your life that you might have not been truthful for, and then how did that affect you or the people around you in that? Is that something that you want to express, Jedediah?
I can't think of any example right now off the top of my
Okay.
head.
Okay. All right. What about just can you think of something that if you did do, how would it, if you didn't tell the truth, how would it affect your someone's in your family?
Oh man, you know, I think about when when my wife will go out
Okay.
and
All
she
right.
have a certain outfit on and she asks, and I'm just like nah, that don't no, let's try something else, and because that night is for us to spend time together and or with the day or whatever. So me allowing her to come out the house with something that's either it's not proper or it just don't look right, that wouldn't sit well on me. We're supposed to be
Yeah.
having a good time. I'm not having a good time because I don't think what you're wearing is right. So
Right.
telling the truth in that, and trying to get her to wear something better, I'll be like, remember that, what you wore last time or you wore when we went there, put that on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now she feels, she knows that I think she looks good. So now she's more confident. And now our date is going better.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so I know that's an example. Uh, with my children, telling the truth to them is like one of the most important things, especially
Mm.
because, they're young and they're innocent. So it shouldn't be any shame. It shouldn't be any you shouldn't feel afraid to tell your children the truth because
Mm-hmm.
everything that we're doing, we want to set them up for success. And I can't think of an exact example of something, but there are things when my oldest who just turned 16, telling her the truth all the time. Like, that's not how that works, or that's not how that's gonna go. And even if she do get upset with me, it's just like you have to accept what I'm telling you, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll see what fruit bears from that. And for me, it's always I don't want to be like the oh I told you so.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to
Mm-hmm.
be like so. This is a lesson for you to know that I'm never going to try to misguide you. I'm always going to point you in the right direction the best I can, because the outcome is when you are successful with something, then that makes me feel good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what you're saying is how it benefits all of us when you say train up a child in the way that should go. We train them in truth, right? You know, and if they are not making, if they're not performing right, we tell them. You know, we don't keep telling them, "Oh, you just doing great," and you're not. You know, in that we encourage them on to do better in that. You know, I think about how some people say, well, when say a 2-year old or a 3-year old, they color something on a paper, and we tell them, "Oh, that is nice. That's a good job." We are saying that's a good job as a 3-year-old. Some people judge that as a 12-year-old. You can't judge their work at a 12-year-old. At a 3, that was real good. You even stayed within the lines. So that's causing you to go forth. But at 12-year-old and you scribbling like that, I can't tell you that that's good, right? So in the process, say if you was coloring, in the process, I'm going to show you through the years on how to get better with it, to learn the colors. So when you first start off, you may not know even the name of the colors, but you get that and you start it. So there's a starting point that we do have, in that. So it's always, just like you said, when you're training up that child, that we tell them the truth at each of their stages, and then that will help them to grow. And if they're not doing well, this is kind of tough for us sometimes. You have to tell them that that's not so, and that's just like telling them the truth. Well, it is telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's not so. So that's what we need to build on that. And like you said, of my question, it made when you go out there, it made you happy, and as well as she made you happy too, and everything is going good. All right on that. All right, my brother, you want to come up and if you can, I know it's kind of on the spot, but if you can maybe express something like what we was talking about.
Yes, I definitely can. I guess what really gets me with it is some of telling the truth, like what Brother Jedediah brought up. It can be like full of opinions, and that's like similar to what you were saying earlier um with the food. I say I like it, or another says they don't like it. I think what can really benefit people is when they value the opinion, the truth of your opinion. And I think one of the most recent ones for me was, and it's not like she was asking me for this, but we have a sister in the assembly who sent me some graphics she made. And, she's got a whole theme and a meaning behind them. And we were looking at them, and there was a couple of the graphics that I was like, okay, well, maybe we could. Would you think about redesigning this? It wasn't that I thought it was ugly. It wasn't that I thought it was bad or anything like that. I design graphics as well, so I was just sharing with her, my opinion. But she said thank you. Now that's not always the case, and that was my truth of the matter, if you will. Sometimes you share people your truth, and it can blow up in your face. So it really doesn't. It's really not always a matter of lying or deceiving someone. It's sometimes if I withhold my a certain opinion, it may be beneficial. Or sometimes, like you said, you don't have to say nothing. But she actually appreciated my input, redesigned her graphic, and I think we both agreed that it looks really good. The other take on that was, speaking of children, I love dealing with children. I took my children to the park today. Well, I didn't, we happened to go to the park. And as soon as they met someone, don't even know this individual, hey, you want to be my friend? Oh, this is my whole family. It's the best. Children have the potential to be 100% transparent, but they also have the ability to be the most deceptive and sly, dirty creatures that it just blows my mind how children on one hand could love you and the other one bite you. But what my example is that you cannot, well, you can, and I guess every parent's going to have their opinion about what I'm about to say. But I have, like Maury brought up earlier, I've got a 5-year-old and my youngest is 2, and I've got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. 7. So I cannot tell all my children the same truth of a matter, if you will. If my oldest son asks me where babies come from, I can give him a little bit more information. And I've had to answer questions like this before. So if somebody asks, in my house, it's very respectful to address the adults as sir and mister, and my children just call me daddy. But I came in the room and my children were saying, "You know, Daddy's name is Sid," and then my other child looked at him and said, "You can't say that," you know. So, but the truth is, yes, that is my name. So I think what really is the point of what I'm trying to make here is that withholding information isn't isn't deceptive. I
Right,
have to be
right,
able to tell information. I have to be able to tell the story and keep it intact factually, giving you the information that is necessary. I am not going to explain the reproductive system and to a child like that. I'm
right,
not.
right, right.
So I agree, like what my brother was bringing out. You can tell the whole truth, or sometimes you have to tell the truth that fits that situation,
Right,
and it's not a
right.
lie. It's not a lie at all. So, like my brother was bringing out with the critiquing the dress, that's a dangerous area. You know, you can really you can say the right thing, you can say the wrong thing. You can give a compliment, but you didn't say it right, but it was the truth. So there's a up and down in that area. But I really think like what you said was appropriate because you knew how to speak to your wife, and I think that's really the truth of the matter is that falsehood would be like what we were talking about earlier with the pies. Oh, you look great, but in the back of my mind is like, oh man,
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
a whole nother
Right,
story.
right,
And
right.
for me, I think that's where we want to see ourselves as honest people. Can we say the part that's happening in our head, but
Mm-hmm.
say it in a way that's tactful, that's truthful, and that involves the information in a receivable fashion. You can't just go up to someone and say your breath stinks.
Right, right, right.
Um, you know,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
but I have been in the situation where someone is telling me that, like, hey man, you got Bruce Lee on the tongue. And so what they do is they didn't just come to me saying, "Hey, you're kicking," but they also offered me like a breath mint or they're like, something like that. So I think every situation really matters. But as far as just outright lying, I've done the example you've mentioned. Like it used to be very hard for me to just tell the whole story like that, just to be 100% honest. So, like, if you were to call me and I'm on my way home and you say, "Sid, where are you?" Like you said, I have to take a second and hesitate. Like, I don't have to lie about where I am. I'm in my car. I'm headed home.
Yeah.
Like it's not that big a deal. But when you make a practice of lying, it's really hard to break. It's really hard to break. And I think that over the years I've gotten way better at just enjoying being honest, dealing with the consequences of that, but also being tactful, doing my best to be tactful. So yes, lying is unnecessary 90% of the time. People don't, they always throw that situation at you, like what if you're harboring someone to keep them alive? If somebody's running from their would-be killer and they come to my house, I'm not going to tell them that individual's in my house. I'm just not going to do it. You're at the door. I could, you that individual's ready to do harm. I'm going to say whoever you're looking for isn't here, and I've been in similar situations like that,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
that's something people may consider that lying. Yes, but I'm preserving life. I'm seeking
Mm-hmm.
to preserve a good situation. So there really is, like we've always said, there's two sides to every matter, but it would be unnecessary for my lips to speak what is false and try to justify that. And that's just the way it is. I'm guilty. I have to own up to when I lie, and I think we all do better if we just do that.
Absolutely. I think I head down there. I'm rolling with you because this has really been good. How the Ruach, we know that the Spirit's been taking us through this and how good these things are. And it's definitely appreciated in that. The I mean, it just the way it's rolling. One of the things that, like you were saying, is when we talk. Excuse me. When we talking to people, we telling you our story, right? The way that when I say our story, the way that we perceive it, the way that we seen it, right? So if we all witness, say, an accident, each of us, according to where we were standing at, if the sun was in our eyes or wasn't in our eyes. And a lot of times people do this when they do, training on burglary or something. They ask, well, what the burglar have on? And they one to say a blue shirt, one to say red shirt, and so it's your perception on what you have seen it, right? And then when you telling someone something, you are given the information, and this is really important. Is you are giving them the information that they would need, So if somebody asks me, well, how much money you got in the bank, right? You tell the truth to everybody, not you understand. So when it comes to something like that, then I'm telling you what you need to know, in that's on a personal business, and you don't have no need to know that, in that, and that's the same thing is when we talking to people, we are telling them of our story, we telling them what we thinking about things, and those things are very, very, very important, So don't think that you left out a detail when you're talking to somebody and you lied to them, right? We are talking about deceiving. When you talk this, do not lie and do not deceive one another. And that lying, you are trying to deceive, right? That's what we are trying to discuss here. The everyday things is what we was trying to bring out of living, those things that we live in your heart. If you plan to deceive somebody, you are breaking the commandments of Yah, right? In your heart, if you are planning to lie to somebody, you're breaking the commandments of Yah. In your heart, if you are stealing, you are breaking the commandments of Yah. So all of those things are there, and we have to know that. And when the everyday life, I think all of you, you guys brung it out in that is when you even dealing with each situation. And in those situations, sometimes I go back to light and heavy. Some things are light and some things are heavy. But that which that you can be trustworthy. And I think you had mentioned that because as we build, then we build those things and communication. And you get to a point where, people, if I just use you brothers that's in here, I never took that when you tell me something or that you are lying, right? All the lies or all the deceptions will be revealed though, and then it will hurt the relationship that we have, right? So I always give someone 100. I always give them, we call it the benefit of the doubt or whatever, and two, it improves differently. But the more faithful we are in telling one another the truth, then the more that we will build on that. And then we can come to one another for advice. Then we can come to one another as we work in this journey, as we doing those different things, in life, in that, And then you had said also the opinions. Opinions is just that. Opinions is not the truth. Opinion is just that person opinion. It has nothing to do really with nothing. We all, opinions just like the nose on your face. We all got one, but they all got two holes in them, right? So opinion is just that. It's just an opinion, but your opinion is not the truth, right? So, and that may need some more explanation, but we have to remember it's just that. If you think that lemon cake is the best thing, that's your opinion. That's not truth. That's your opinion, right? And somebody else coming along, no, chocolate is the best thing. Somebody, no, it's strawberry, and people will divide over that. We got the strawberry people group, the chocolate people group, and then the lemon people group. We can never get together. Let's get together on the fact that it's all cake. Hallelujah. It's all cake. Whatever flavor that you have, it's all cake in that. And so sometimes in our communities, I always say, well, I didn't say it from time to time, it's sort of like 31 flavors, right? And but it's all ice cream. And this is where we need to meet at, that it's all ice cream. And that's where we need to build at, that it's all ice cream. I don't think for years after years after years, I have never seen the unity that our Mashiach desired for us to have. I haven't seen it yet, and what I mean that as a whole, not just say in our particular community or our tribe or our clan, however you want to put it, Mishpachah. I'm talking about as a whole. And in my heart, that's something that I cry out for. But I do know also that we have to be people that are willing to do that. And it's very difficult sometimes when we're not willing to do those things, right? In that. So I just again, that as we walk in and hoping that we given some examples on tonight in that. I don't know. I guess this could even get a part two in that too. But I know that that's something that we don't want to. I had another scripture here. I don't know if I wanted to open this up. I know it's getting the hour here. It was the other one was in Proverbs, I think. Here I do have it written down, 12 and 22, I think. If we can take a quick look at this real quick here. What did I say? 22, lion lips, right? Right here. We open up 12 and 22. Proverbs 12 and 22, lion lips are an abomination to Yahweh, right? We don't want to have those lips, right? But if you are able to have a relationship, if you pour out the love that we need, but those who deal, and this is where we need to be, in order for you to turn around from falsehood or to lying to truth, that's where the Father delights in. He delights in that, right? And so one of our hearts is to make sure that what he delights in, guess what? We want to delight in. It is very important in that, right? As we build that, what he delights in, we want to delight in, and those things are important. But we have to remember how serious this is. It's very, very serious. Okay. And we talking about being deceptive and lying to one another, and sometimes this may need to be cleaned up. Right? You just can't stay in a corner talking about forgive me for lying to my wife, forgive me for lying to my children, forgive me for lying to those in the community. You need to go fix that. Right? You need to get that straight, because that person is living on your lie. The lie that you told them, that you told them. Now, sometimes, like I say, you can have information. We are in here of information. One says this, one says that. I think we were dealing with coffee today. They said a recall. Somebody else might say there is not a recall. And somebody else, So all of those things, okay, those things will be there. But what I'm talking about is how to build that relationship in that. And then sometimes, no matter according to what it is and who it is, it may put a hinder, or I don't want to say damage, but it may put a hinder in your relationship. But it's the person that comes to you and say, you know what, that what I told you really wasn't so. I told you I flew down to California and it really was in Florida, right? I shouldn't have told you that. I had my reason to tell you that. But if you came to me and I said, okay, brother, okay, I appreciate that. But I should have in my heart knowing that that's what you said, then I am more than willing to forgive you and move on. Right? Again, light and heavy. The heavier things may be stronger consequences with a relationship, right? Never, it should not serve that relationship, but it may hinder that relationship and it may cause us to go in different areas in that relationship, right? Different areas. So, and that's all about building in that. Now be careful on, I think you guys have mentioned how you present it, how you say it. Think about what you're going to be said. If it takes you to write it down, write it down. We have technology today. Maybe you want to record what you want to say and then play it back, those things that's in there, right? But sometimes people feel better when they are around you. Now the truth is out. And if the truth is out, you feel better. You feel better in that. And then we ought to be a people that embrace the truth that somebody is trying to correct too, right? And then sometimes you have to take the proper steps and all of that. Many times things don't come out to years down the road. I was reading something. I'm not going to bring all that foolishness up, but somebody did something years down the road. They find out that they did it. And now all of a sudden, they want to, say, make it right, to live with something for so many years. That is really something, and so only the person know what their heart was, that person knows that. But just remember that the light and heavy, if the heavier it is, the more consequences it may take on though, of course, in that. So, according to what you did, it could take on a lot of consequences. And even if you told your job, if you went in there and you told them, say, I've been fixing the books, for the last, 2 years or whatever. And that could be a consequence. It could be a jail sentence, in that. But it definitely would be able to set you free. Instead of just being in your little corner saying, Father, forgive me, right? And you done took these people money. In Torah, there's things that we have to do. Let me see if I can. It was one, I think, in Exodus. I think we just dealt with it not too long ago. Are going to deal with it or something here. 22 and 10, I think it was. 22 and 10. All right, and put this up here. Okay. When a man gives to his neighbors a donkey or a sheep or an ox or a sheep and any beast to watch over, and it dies or it is injured or it is driven away while no one is looking, let the oath of Yahweh be between them both. For he is not to put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, or the owner of it shall accept that, and he does not repay. Right? So something that we do, if I was trying to, I think that's what I want. I was looking for another one too as well. Good. That's a good one. But if he is indeed stolen from him, that's what it was. If he indeed steals from him, stolen from him, he repays to his owner. Right? So that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that there could be consequences on what you do, according to the light and heavy, But just sitting in the corner, don't be deceived. That's a deception. You have to know what repentance is, right? So in repentance, you're gonna have to repay, So if it's something that you does, he shall repay him, in that, and the Torah in that. Time wise, I want to get you fellas back in there, but you have to repay. So in repentance is turn from that, number one, and whatever it might be, you need to stop doing it. That's the truth for that matter. So always, if you tell the truth to one, if we tell the truth to one another, we won't have to worry about, in this sense, my language I'm using, cleaning anything up. You won't have to do that, you know. But it will be, and I found out that's the best way to do it. Just put it on the line, and that's it, you know. Because sometimes even in counseling, I was counseling something that was untruth, right? But I didn't know that. But that's what you counsel, and so you give advice, not opinion, advice, or those things that they may could take in their life and use, but it was not true, right? It was not true. So if it wasn't true, then now you invited me into your lie, right? And then you told me a lie. So it starts, see how it starts to injure. And if someone else is in that, then that connects to them. So it can really, really corrupt and hurt a whole community. And what we want to do is have a community that is definitely powerful, and the things are being powered up. All right, my brothers. I guess I could go in. I wanted to say just a little more where I wouldn't, and I'm sure that there's some more there. Maybe we could go to a part 4, a section 4 in that for next week. Let me see. Oh, the of course the Ephesians of power up is all our hearts anyway. I always have something in there. Chapter 4 and 25 in that. Let me put this up again. I almost gave it to you. At 25. Therefore, putting off, say that haven't put off, it means we do it. The falsehood, right? Speak the truth. So that's how you do it. Somebody say, well, how I do it? I need deliverance. This is your deliverance right here. Your deliverance is you start speaking the truth, each one with his neighbor. And I think my brother, you guys brought that up before. For we are all members of one another. All members of one another, right? Don't be wrong. So don't let your sin go down, right? So, in other words, get it right as soon as possible, right? Get those things right as soon as possible. All right, my brother. Did anyone have anything that you want to just kind of add to, and we'll have a closing word?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. There
All
was
right.
something that what you had said, and I know we're dragging, but it was
No,
just on my
it's all
heart from what
good.
you said.
Yeah.
Being honest has consequences, and that was brought up. And I like what you said there, because recovering from the past, like you said, sometimes I'm going to have to go back and do things right, make it right. But then there's going to be some instances where you can't,
Right.
and you're going to have to live. You're going to have to live with that. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth makes you free. So if you're in the truth and you're still guilty, then that means your relationship with the truth needs to increase.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still
Good.
holding yourself
Good.
accountable, we need to start really realizing that we can be new, and we are new in the master. And when you have sought him to be made new, that's the point. We know
Mm-hmm.
what we have
Mm-hmm.
done. We're putting it off, like you quoted from Ephesians. To put it off means I'm not doing it anymore. So if I was a liar and I put off lying, I should have freedom that comes with that. But if I'm walking around in the guilt from being a liar, that's something that needs to be addressed. And I think with what you had brought up was really good. And there's I thought you were going to bring this one up from Mishlei, Proverbs 30 and
Mm-hmm.
verse 8. This is like one of the best ones to me. It says, "Remove falsehood and a lying word far from me.
Mm-hmm.
Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me my lawful bread."
Hallelujah.
And
Mm-hmm.
what I get out of that is that the truth is enough. People lie to gain, and that seems to be a lot of the practice of the world. But if I'm the type of person that keeps falsehood far from me, I'm satisfied with all that the truth brings me. And that's a good place to be.
Absolutely. And there is so much shalom. Those that might be listening would know that when you walk in, and I think somebody might have mentioned your truth. And when I say your truth, I'm talking about when you know that your mind is clear. It is so much shalom there. I'm going to tell you. I've been in both places. I've been in the place of lying, but I also in a place of telling the truth. And man, are you talking about it? Matter of fact, it doesn't matter what somebody says. Whether they, when I say that, I'm saying if they saying you said some of you didn't, you know that you walked in the truth. And you know what the real story is, right? Whatever that might be, because people present stories in different manners, right? But you can have the peace in your heart, and it surpasses all understanding. When you telling the truth, when you walking in that much as you know, right? And what I'm saying is you know what you're doing. It is shalom with your wife. It's shalom with your children. It's shalom with the community. It's shalom with your jobs. It's shalom with your neighbors around you, right? You done told the truth in that. If my neighbor had apple tree and I was in his yard getting the apples, and he said, "Well, you in my yard getting those apples?" And I said, "No, that wasn't me. I wasn't in your yard. I think there's some guys down the street." You know, in that, then that's something that you know. So your neighbor might know that you was on there because he seen you on the camera, right? Now he has a whole different story about you, right? In that, that's a difference between I seen some guys over there trying to get some apples, and I ran over there try to stop them, and I was on the camera too, and my neighbor thought I was getting the apples, and he went and told people my neighbor be stealing my apples. And when he asked me, I said, "No, I wasn't stealing his apple. I wasn't stealing the apples. I was running those gentlemen away was trying to take your apples. No, I seen you stealing them because they was on." Now I can have peace, even though my neighbor thought I stole those apples because he seen us on the camera and I was running the guys away. I can know in my heart that I didn't do it. I can't, reframe that or stop his actions on what he thought. If he's not gonna believe what I said, there's nothing I can do about it. And he might have told everybody else in the neighborhood that I'm over there stealing his apples. And when people look at me, they watch me because they know me as the apple stealer. But in my heart, I know that I did not do it. You understand? That is shalom. No, I don't want the neighbors feeling like I'm the apple stealer. No, I don't want to feel all those things. But I know within my heart what I did the right thing. And that's so much that you can walk. I'm telling you, that is so much shalom when you know that, because people have their stories, and sometimes they are not what we perceive or even think that they are. And that's the thing of life, in that. And so there is so much going on, say, in the world. And we can come against or counter a lot of things when it comes to the power of our community. When it comes to our family, we can narrow those things down and be people of the truth. And not only we definitely have to be people of truth. And and that's the other thing that you were saying, that so much of people would bring up, well, what if somebody come in your house? We always skip that, but these little things that we need to start looking at in our life and in our walk, and stop arguing about what scripture is this and what century is this and all of that other foolishness, and start walking. Well, when I say foolishness, I'm saying when somebody's going after that, not so much that those things are wrong or anything like that. So let me clean that up to make sure that it won't be out there. What I am saying is we need to start walking the walk that you talk. Start walking the walk that you talk and start telling the truth to one another. All right, my brothers. Shalom, shalom.